I really recommend. Just like all these books I haven't read. Biggie snack. It's gonna be a surprise for all of us. What's in this suitcase? Right here. There are things in here I forgot about. Looking at this going, it's not that many, but there's more in my room. And there's some on the floor. Okay. Hi everyone, it's Eliza, and today I'm going to be showing you every book I bought while I was in London, Copenhagen and Stockholm in April and May. And one of the things I did there was peruse all the lovely different bookshops. I made cinnamon buns inspired from my time in Sweden. They look pretty damn good. I have a lot of books from London. I only have one book from Stockholm and one book from Copenhagen. I'm excited to show you, so let's get into it. When I first got to London, I actually had a bit of a panic over books and what to read, which is stupid because of all the problems in the world, is this an issue? No. Now when you want to choose a nice holiday read and you want to remember your trip and go, oh yes, I read this great book then, and there's extra pressure, I feel, for when I'm on holiday. And so when I got to London, I really felt the pressure to pick something fun to read that I'd really enjoy. Within the first few days of me getting there, I went to the beautiful Waterstones on Gower Street. It's this old building, it's several levels. They have a cafe on the bottom floor. They've also got a whole stationery section. I spent 2 hours in there and I couldn't decide what to read. So I picked something up and I started reading it, and it was different to what I thought it was going to be. And that book was The Bear and the Nightingale. This book is set in late medieval Russia, and it's about a family who live in the woods. It's wintry and cold. It's quite vibey. It's more slow paced than I thought it was going to be. The blurb talks about the main character, who's a girl who can see the mythical creatures in the forest and can see the house spirits, things like that, and that danger and dark forces are coming. And that doesn't really eventuate until a third of the way through this book. I did enjoy this, but it took me a while to get into. You have to actually dedicate some time to get into something. Not everything's going to be like ping ping, love it straight away. I didn't realize there are 3 books in this series. You could read this as a standalone and it would work by itself. And I gave it 4 stars, but I'm not sure whether I want to read the other 2 or not. This was really the only proper novel of all the books I bought, which are surrounding me, right around me, by the way, currently in little piles. This is the only one I read while I was away. Actually, no, I did read one picture book as well that I bought while I was away, which I'll show you now. I did a book crawl around Richmond, which was very nice. It's very picturesque and pretty around there. I went to the Alligator's Mouth, which is a children's bookshop. It's a beautiful little shop and it's a small business, and they have so many gorgeous books in there, and they're very helpful if you ask, and happy to help. I was trying to think, what will I actually enjoy keeping with me as a keepsake, something that I can revisit and enjoy again and again. So I got 2 books, one of which I've already read, and it was so beautiful it kind of made me want to cry. That book is Ning and the Night Spirits by Adriana Fong. It's a beautiful book. It's just so sweet. I love the illustrations, I love the story, and the magic of picture books, that they don't need a lot of written detail to make you feel things. There's a little boy called Ning, and he finds it hard to make friends until he meets the night spirits, which are all these different creatures and spirits. This is sounding like The Bear and the Nightingale. I just realized. You see some of the creatures on the cover. They're just so cute. I really love the little kind of elephant fairy and the cat with 2 tails as well. I mean, I love a book with a map, so this is obviously a 5 out of 5 stars. While he finds it hard to make friends with humans, Ning finds it quite easy to befriend these mythical creatures, and there's a happy ending. This is a heartwarming story about friendship, overcoming differences and prejudices and coming to understanding. It just made me feel warm and fuzzy, and I would really recommend it. I also got a second book from The Alligator's Mouth, which I haven't read yet, which is a beautiful anthology of winter tales. This book includes stories from all over the world, from different fables to fairy tales and folk tales. There are well-known Western tales like The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen, and other stories I hadn't heard of from places like Mexico, Greece, Japan, and China. Needless to say, the illustrations in this are beautiful, and that is part of its charm and why I picked it up and brought it home with me. In Richmond, I also went to the Waterstones there, and I got these two because they're special edition. I got Paper Dragons, as well as Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar, special edition, as you can see, with sprayed edges. Paper Dragons also has beautiful sprayed edges with jellyfish. Just look, so pretty. If you're familiar to BookTube, you probably know Leigh Bardugo's name because she wrote Ninth House, as well as the Shadow and Bone series, which got turned into the Netflix show. And this is her first book for adults that is historical fiction, I think, with a little bit of fantasy mixed in. It takes place in Madrid during the Spanish Inquisition, and it's about a woman who I believe is not of high rank, and she can perform little miracles, and that catches the attention of some people in power. I haven't actually read Leigh Bardugo before, so that will be a new one for me. Paper Dragons by Siobhan McDermott is about a girl who gets an invitation to an underwater magic school where she could win immortality. And sounds random, sounds fun, it's pretty, the illustrations are great. I'm trying to read more middle grade because it also connects with my work. It's also just kind of nice to mix it up and read something different. But sometimes I do find that I want more from them because I am an adult. I went to the Open Book, which is a great independent little bookstore. It's filled floor to ceiling with books, like they fit as many as they can in there, and I really like that. And at the Open Book I picked up Wayward by Amelia Hart. The cover's pretty striking. I like it. One of the things that drew me is that this one is signed, which is exciting even if I know nothing about her. Weaving together the stories of 3 women across 5 centuries, Wayward is an enthralling novel of female resilience and the transformative power of the natural world. On a different day in Richmond, because on my other day I forgot to go to this place, I went to Books on the Rise, which is another lovely little independent bookshop in Richmond, and they had a lot of great things in there too. It kind of goes back several rooms from the front. In the front it looks quite small, but then you just keep going. I ended up getting a book that I've borrowed from my local library previously. It is This is the Canon, Decolonizing Your Bookshelf. It provides a list of 50 books at the beginning, which are recommended to help you read more widely and diversely from authors of different backgrounds and people of colour. It has a few pages per book that it talks about, some of the themes that those books explore. I think it's important to read books that aren't just within your echo chamber of people from your own race, class, sex, whatever it may be. There are some books in here that I already have on my list that I want to read, but of course my list is so long. But I do want to get to them. For example, Kindred by Octavia E. Butler and Beloved by Toni Morrison, The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini. Some of these I haven't heard of, which also is exciting. Expand the Brain. On a separate day, I did another bookshop crawl. I started around Marylebone and I went to the Daunt Books in Marylebone. It's very pretty in there. I would really recommend it. They gave me a cute little bookmark. For this, I realized I might also like to read it via Spotify, but I also want to have a copy where I can annotate for myself and keep it. The book I got from Marylebone Daunt Books was Letters to a Young Poet by Rainer Maria Rilke. I believe this book is about The letters exchanged between two people, of which the author is one, exchanging ideas about creativity, expression, being young and being creative. After that, I went to Oxfam, the Marylebone charity shop, and I had a look at the books there. The next book I got is The Personal Librarian, written by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. How mysterious. This book is about a woman who is employed to become the personal librarian to create a home library for a wealthy man in New York in the 20s. I might be making this up. While on my way to the London Review bookshop, I actually by chance, just on choosing the street I walked down, went past a super vibey, witchy, occultish kind of shop, which is called Treadwell's in Bloomsbury near the British Museum. And it was really cool. I could have spent ages in there. I wish I could have gotten all three in this little anthology, but I just got one because I didn't want to go insane. I wanted to show some restraint. I picked up the Treasury of Folklore. This one is the woodlands and forests, but they did have other ones that were about skies and stars or something, and one about the seas. I'm really into the printmaking kind of illustrations and art. I don't have tattoos, but I feel like that would be a great tattoo. It's another little anthology for me to dip in and dip out of, as I like. Then I went to the London Review, which I had never been to before either. It was really fresh and crisp and clean and nicely designed. I got 2 books from the London Review, and as I was leaving, I was looking at their tote bags. And as I turned to leave after buying my things, my paper bag that I'd been carrying that had like 5 books in it ripped and fell on the floor all over the place, and so I bought the bag. It was a sign. It's the perfect size for carrying lots of books about. From the London Review, I really had been thinking about buying the Talented Mr. Ripley book, but I couldn't find an edition I liked anywhere. I, by chance, saw one of the books that I've been eyeing off for ages that is hard to find in Australia, and that is A Will to Kill by R.V. Rahman. This, I believe, is a murder mystery that takes place in some misty mountains on a train. Kind of similar to Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. Yeah, I don't want to give too much away. Well, I don't even know because I haven't read it yet. I also got Twice Lost by Phyllis Paul, which has a beautiful cover. Just look at those colours, how yummy are they? This book is set at an English village in a home where a child is playing carefree and then goes missing. Years pass, and then a woman who claims to be the missing child, now all grown up, returns, and it sounds like they're not sure if it's actually her or not or what's going on. The blurb is interesting. It says, "Who could have been so cruel as to do away with poor Vivian Lambert? And why, oh why, couldn't she just stay dead?" This one sounds mysterious and intriguing. My next stop on my book crawl through London was Gaze the Word, which is an awesome independent bookshop. It has such welcoming, warm, chill vibes. As you can tell by the name, Gaze the Word, they have a lot of LGBTQI+ books. Something a bit different for me, but from an author who I love, is Queering the Greek Myths by Jean Mingus. Jean has her own YouTube channel, which I've followed for a long time. All the Violet Tiaras invites readers to discover the power to be found in remaking these myths time and again, carving a space for queer stories to be told with all the complexity and tenderness they deserve, with a goddess or two for good measure. Jean is very intelligent and well-read and just super knowledgeable about antiquity and the classics and mythology. On a separate day, I went to Chiswick and looked in the Oxfam charity shop there, and they had an awesome selection of books. They have some really beautiful, thick, old books, and then they've got kind of their usual fiction and like crime section. I got 3 books from there. The first book is A Spoonful of Murder. It seems like it's the cozy murder mystery kind of vibe. The first line in the blurb is, "Retirement can be murder." A group of retiree friends, someone they know is murdered, and they sit down to work out what on earth's going on and do some sleuthing. The first thing that came to mind when I read this was The Thursday Murder Club, which I haven't read, but I know it has a similar kind of premise, as well as Midsummer Murders, and these are both also written in the blurb, which was kind of funny when I was reading it and thinking the same thing. I also got Pandora's Jar, written by Natalie Haynes. Funnily enough, last time I was in London last year, I bought her Divine Might book about the goddesses, and this I think is about more of the mortals in Greek mythology. So I feel like I need to actually start reading these now because I've got 2. As in the title, here's Pandora. It's a book that explores the stories of many women from Greek mythology, such as Phaedra, Penelope, Clytemnestra, the Amazons, and Medusa. Lucky last from Oxfam, but the one I'm probably most excited about is this really nice copy of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I've been wanting to read Rebecca for a long time. I know it's one of my mum's favourite books, and my dog's name is Daphne. It's about a woman who marries a wealthy man, moves into his mansion, and his ex-wife's or dead wife's name was Rebecca. And there's an air of mystery and malice about the house. I kind of know the general story because I did watch the adaptation that had Armie Hammer and Lily James in it, but I've heard that wasn't the best adaptation. It was an okay movie, and I just love this cover that I've never seen before. I feel like this does a good job of giving the vibe of it. Lucky last 2 books ready to go. My one and only book I bought in Copenhagen was Voyage of the Damned. I had never seen this, I'd never heard of it, I knew nothing about it, and I just saw it in, I forgot the name of the Copenhagen bookshop, but this is young adult. It's pretty thick as well. It's a murder mystery set on a ship back in time in history. 12 magical blessings, 12 days at sea, 1 chance to stop a killer and save the world. When a beloved heir is murdered, everyone is a suspect. It sounds good. It sounds gripping. At the beginning, it goes over the 12 different provinces and their heirs and their sigils and everything. And as you can see, it's quite nicely spread out on the page. So even though it's thick, I think it will be okay. Lucky last, the book I got in Stockholm at the beautiful independent bookshop in the Gamla stand, the old town. I forgot what it was called. It was beautiful in there. They actually had an author in there giving a book talk while I was there. Unfortunately, it was in Swedish, so I couldn't understand, obviously, but I just had a little peek around at the different books they had. They had books written in Swedish as well as English books, and then also translated from Swedish to English books. And one of those is what I got, and it is Stolen. I've seen this one around for a while, and since it's also going to be made into a Netflix film, I was like, maybe now's the time to read it. There's so many books that are getting made into films and TV shows. I don't think it says when it's set, but it's clearly way back in history about the Sami people, who are the indigenous people of Scandinavia. There's a girl who witnesses a crime, and I think she has to decide whether or not she's going to speak up about it. This sounds like it will be kind of an intense, perhaps, historical fiction. I feel like there's a hint about the crime in the title. This is not, oh my gosh, this is not gonna go well. Whoa, I hope you enjoyed watching. I'm gonna go before these topple on me. Bye!